Hey everyone, and welcome back to Tech Talk Central. We're doing a deep dive today. You know, that classic debate, Windows versus macOS laptops. We've got two models here, tons of research, so we're going to help you decide which one's right for you. I'm Nathan,
I'm Sarah.
and yeah, excited to break it all down.
Yeah, cut through the hype.
Okay, so you're in the market for a new laptop, right? On one hand, you got this sleek 14-inch MacBook Pro. It's got Apple's powerful M4 Pro chip, 14-core CPU, 20-core GPU, 24 gigs of unified memory. A terabyte of SSD storage. This thing's built for speed.
And on the other hand,
But on the other hand,
you've got the HP,
you got the HP.
clocking in with a spacious 17.3-inch touchscreen.
Wow, yeah.
It's rocking an 8-core Intel Core i3 N305 processor, 32 gigs of RAM, and a combo of 128 GB eMMC and 1 TB SSD, all running Windows 11s.
Now, before we get lost in the specs, I was struck by how both companies are really pushing sustainability. The MacBook Pro's got a gold EPEAT certification for energy efficiency, and HP's incorporating recycled plastics into the build. It's great to see that becoming a priority.
Absolutely. Yeah, it shows that you don't have to sacrifice performance to, be eco-conscious.
Right.
But let's get down to brass tacks. What does all this jargon actually mean for, your everyday use?
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with the MacBook Pro. That M4 Pro chip is getting a lot of buzz. Sources say it can handle some serious heavy lifting, like compiling millions of lines of code without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, which means for you, even if you're not a coding whiz, you are going to experience lightning fast performance. Video editing, 3D rendering, even just juggling a ton of tabs, this machine can handle it.
Okay, so then there's the Liquid Retina XDR display. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but trust me, this screen is something else. 1,600 nits of peak brightness and a 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio.
Wow.
What does that translate to for the average user?
I imagine colors so vibrant they practically leap off the screen, and blacks so deep they seem to disappear. Perfect for photographers and video editors who need absolute color accuracy. But honestly, anyone who enjoys watching movies or browsing high-res images will appreciate the difference.
And let's not forget that the MacBook Pro boasts up to 22 hours of battery life for video streaming. That's practically unheard of. Plus, you get that seamless integration with other Apple devices. Control your iPhone from your Mac, copy and paste between devices. It all just works. But is that walled garden approach limiting, or is it a strength? We'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's a key question to consider. Now, shifting gears to the HP, that 17.3-inch touchscreen is a real showstopper. For anyone who prefers a larger display or enjoys the hands-on interaction of a touchscreen, this is a major plus. Is it as portable as the MacBook Pro? Maybe not, but it's a different kind of beast.
Right. And to power all that screen real estate, it's got a whopping 32 gigs of RAM. I mean, come on, how many tabs do you need open at once? But seriously, that's a huge amount of memory, ensuring smooth multitasking, even with demanding applications.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the value of that combined storage. A speedy 128 GB eMMC for frequently accessed files, plus a spacious 1 TB SSD for everything else. You get speed and capacity in one package. And all of this at a considerably lower price point than the MacBook Pro.
That's the big question, isn't it? Is the premium price of the MacBook Pro worth it for that extra performance and that sleek design? Or does the HP offer more bang for your buck?
That's what we're here to unpack.
That's what we're here to figure out. But before we make any judgments, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, the operating systems themselves.
Yeah.
macOS versus Windows, the eternal battle.
Right.
And that's where our deep dive gets really interesting. We'll dissect the pros and cons of each OS and help you decide which one aligns with your needs and priorities. Stick around. Welcome back to Tech Talk Central. We are dissecting this whole great laptop debate, Windows versus macOS. Before we get into the operating systems themselves, I think it's worth addressing some of the stereotypes that surround them. What are some of those common misconceptions you hear?
One of the biggest is that macOS is only for creative professionals. Sure, it's popular with designers and musicians, but that sleek design and intuitive interface, it benefits anyone. Don't let the stereotype box you in.
Yeah, it's funny. I've heard the opposite about Windows. People think it's clunky and outdated, but hasn't Windows evolved quite a bit in recent years?
Absolutely. Windows 11 in particular has a modern look and feel, and let's not forget the sheer volume of software available for Windows. If you need a specialized program, chances are it's on Windows. That versatility can be a huge advantage.
So for someone trying to decide between the two, what are the key factors that might tip the scales?
Well, if you're already deep in the Apple ecosystem, using an iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, macOS offers that seamless integration we talked about. It's a major productivity booster, no question.
Yeah, but what about those of us who aren't tied to Apple?
For folks who prioritize flexibility and a wide range of software options, Windows is often the better choice. Gaming, specialized professional software, you name it, Windows likely has it.
And let's be real, budget is a major factor for most people.
Absolutely. Generally speaking, Windows laptops are more affordable. You can find a decent Windows machine for a fraction of the cost of a comparable MacBook.
So if you're on a tight budget, Windows might be the way to go.
Often, yes, but remember, you often get what you pay for. Apple products tend to have better build quality and longevity. That higher upfront cost could mean you're getting a laptop that lasts longer, making it a smarter investment in the long run. It's a trade-off.
Okay, so cost, software compatibility, ecosystem, these are all big factors. What about security? Macs have this reputation for being more secure, right?
To some extent, yes, Apple's closed ecosystem gives them tighter control over software updates and security patches, making it harder for malware to get in. But let's not pretend Macs are invincible. No system is 100% secure.
Yeah, it's a digital arms race, right?
Yeah.
The bad guys are always trying to find new ways in.
Exactly, and while Windows might have been more vulnerable in the past, Microsoft has upped their security game considerably. Windows 10 and 11 come with built-in antivirus and regular security updates, making them far more resilient.
So regardless of which operating system you choose, practicing safe computing habits is crucial.
Right.
Strong passwords, updated software, common sense, those things go a long way.
Couldn't agree more. Ultimately, the best way to choose is to understand your own needs and priorities. Don't get swayed by hype or stereotypes. Think about how you'll actually use the laptop, what software you need, and what your budget allows.
And don't be afraid to get hands-on. Go to a store, try out both operating systems. See what feels more intuitive and comfortable for you.
Absolutely. It's your laptop, your experience. The best choice is the one that empowers you to do what you love, whether that's creating, working, or just browsing the web.
Now let's look ahead a little bit. Any predictions for the future of these operating systems? What should our listeners be watching for?
Well, predicting the future of tech is always a gamble.
Yeah.
But there's some exciting trends emerging. For macOS, I think we'll see even tighter integration with the Apple ecosystem. Imagine controlling your entire smart home from your MacBook, or using your iPad as a secondary display with a flick of your wrist.
That seamless experience is definitely a major selling point for Apple.
Yeah.
But is it possible to be too integrated? What about users who want more flexibility to choose their own devices and software?
Right, that's a valid concern. Apple's walled garden approach can feel limiting to some, but I think they're also aware of the need to provide more options. We're seeing hints of that with features like universal control, which allows you to use a single keyboard and mouse across multiple Apple devices. It's a step towards greater flexibility, even within that ecosystem.
Interesting. So greater integration on one hand and tentative steps toward openness on the other. What about the software itself? Any big changes on the horizon for that?
I think AI is going to play a huge role in the evolution of both macOS and Windows.
Yeah.
We're already seeing the beginnings of this with features like Siri and Cortana, but it's only going to get more sophisticated. Imagine personalized recommendations that anticipate your needs, or intelligent automation that streamlines your workflow in ways we can't even imagine yet.
That sounds both amazing and slightly terrifying.
Right.
What about gaming? Windows has always been the go-to platform for gamers. Do you see that changing at all?
It's true that Windows dominates the gaming landscape, and I don't see that shifting dramatically anytime soon. But Apple has been making some interesting moves with Apple Arcade and the increasing power of Apple Silicon. Macs are becoming more capable of handling demanding games, so I wouldn't count them out entirely.
So maybe not a full-on takeover, but some healthy competition in the gaming arena could benefit everyone.
Absolutely. Competition drives innovation, and ultimately that's a win for consumers. More choices, better experiences. That's what we want to see.
Well said. So after all this, what's the final takeaway for our listeners? How do they choose the right operating system for their needs?
It all comes down to, what you value most. Do you prioritize seamless integration with your other Apple devices? Do you need a wide range of software options and flexibility? Are you on a tight budget? Answer those questions honestly, and the choice will become much clearer.
Great advice. And remember, folks, it's just a laptop. The most important thing is to choose a machine that empowers you to do what you love. whether that's creating art, building businesses, or just connecting with the world.
Exactly. The technology should serve you, not the other way around.
Couldn't agree more. And to help you make an informed decision, we've got links to both of the laptops we discussed, along with some additional resources down in the description below. Be sure to check those out for the latest prices and deals.
And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all things tech here at Tech Talk Central. We've got more deep dives, comparisons, and insights coming your way. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the ever-evolving world of technology.